Hi guys, welcome again to my YouTube channel. And today I have a very good friend of mine by name Akiram Shino, and Shino is actually a finance guru. Shino, you have to pay me for this advert I'm doing, free adverts. So
Okay,
Shino will be
okay.
here today to talk to us about how to the need for kingdom wealth and how kingdom wealth can actually advance the body of Christ, and the need for us to have money as Christians. Don't let me speak too much grammar. There's need for Christian people to get money for their hands so that you can push the kingdom work, give a good life and just bring about kingdom advancement. Let me just put that way. So Shino, you have the next 30 to 40 minutes to just talk to us about kingdom wealth. Thank you.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, good for having me on your channel. Uh,
You're
and thank
welcome.
you for the introduction. Yeah, so it is such an interesting topic to talk about, even though nowadays we see Christians try to shy away from it. Some of the opinion
Yeah.
that let's just focus on Christianity, holiness. Let's
Mm-hmm.
focus on how to make heaven. Let's focus
Mm-hmm.
on what
Mm-hmm.
is well. Let's focus on the deep things, like the deep things like
Mm.
evangelism, like the deep things like soul winning, the
Mm.
deep things like healing, miracles. So people are kind of more, and these are some of the, should I say,
Mm.
some of the misconceptions that we've
Mm.
seen over the years in
Mm.
Christendom. But you see,
Mm.
I would like to start on
Mm.
this note by just making us to see what we have in third John 3 from chapter 1 and 2 thereabout that was talking about
Mm.
that I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper even as thy soul prospereth.
Mm-hmm.
Said, I wish above all things that thou
Mm-hmm.
mayest prosper. It says that's just basic to make us
Mm.
understand that prosperity is not something that God is not
Mm.
interested about. He said God is so much interested
Mm-hmm. Preach, Pastor.
in our prosperity as a Christian. So even aside
Mm-hmm.
you making heaven, aside you having a koinonia with him, having a fellowship with him, having that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
intimacy, that deep relationship that we all talk about, that we all long for. God also desires that as a
Mm.
Christian, as a believer, we prosper.
Mm.
The essence of God talking God has never made a mistake of talking about prosperity in the Bible. If prosperity was nothing
Mm.
to talk about, if prosperity wasn't that important, he wouldn't have even talk about it in the Bible in the first instance. And don't forget, our God is not a
Mm.
talkative. God is not a talkative, and He doesn't
Mm.
make mistake whenever He talks. There are so many
Yeah.
scriptures in the Bible that God has talked about prosperity. There was also a particular Bible verse that was talking about, if only you will obey and let me help you. If only you will obey, I will
Mm.
make you rich. If only you will let me help you
Mm.
or make you rich, or something that just trying
Mm.
to remember that particular verse of Bible that was talking about that God was saying,
Mm-hmm.
let me make you rich, because He's the one that giveth power to make wealth.
To
God,
make you.
the power to make wealth reside in Him. So if
Mm.
prosperity is nothing to write about, if prosperity is not that important, we wouldn't have seen so many
Important.
emphases of God talking about it in the Bible. God did not just talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
he also taught us how to go about it. He did not just talk about
Mm.
it as, oh,
True.
okay, we need to make wealth, you need to prosper. He also showed us how to go about it. He was talking about,
Mm.
and he was so clear about the principle. You see, there is one thing in Christendom that I normally say, that it doesn't answer to prayer, neither does it answer to your fasting. It be like fast from now
Mm.
till second coming of Christ. If you don't follow the principle of prosperity as laid down in the scripture,
Mm.
trust me, you will just
Mm.
be a good Christian. You will enter heaven. God will
Mm-hmm.
smile at you. You will get, but
Mm-hmm.
that prosperity side of it, trust me, you might not be able to experience it, because there are just principles that has been laid down by God Himself. May- As when it comes to kingdom wealth, it may every other wealth you can have your way, you can do it your own. But if you want to do it as God has ordain it. You just need to follow some
Mm.
principles. And what are these principles? They are basically like, I I will just try to bring them under three various headings. Number one to me, which I kind of love so much, is first fruits. You see,
Mm.
I so much love first fruit. You see, I had about for first fruit, like I think that was like 4 or 5 years ago that I that the whole thing sink into my head. I've been hearing for about first fruit years before then, but it didn't just make sense. It didn't just sink to my head that, like, how will I say I work for a whole month and I will say I'm bringing it to church for a whole month? How will I survive the next month? It doesn't just make sense to me,
Mm.
but the whole thing began to make sense to me like 4 or 5 years ago, and I was seeing the need to actually partake in this because it is actually one of that's what the Bible was talking about. If the first be holy, then the rest is actually holy. Which means if you
True.
actually want your your other source of income to be to be blessed in quotes, you just need to dedicate the first one unto God. You see, and it's so funny that the
Mm.
principle of first fruit, be, should I say, as they kind of practice it in a way in this part of the world, kind of, because in this part of the world where I came from, why growing up as a child, your first job, the 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 mindset is that your first job as a child, that the
Be
money
given
basically
to your
belong to the
parents.
parents. They will call it your parents, your
Mm.
father, mother, the family. They will share the money and they will bless you. B-
Mm.
they're kind of doing something similar to falsehood, but trust me, the difference between that and falsehood is that is actually not aligned with what the Bible says. If you are doing falsehood, you must
Mm.
do it the way God has said. God was so clear about how to go about falsehood and about where to pay it nowhere but
Mm.
his household, his house.
Mm.
And you didn't just pay first food to a church that doesn't believe in first food. You don't pay first food to a pastor that doesn't believe in first fruits. You have to pay
Mm.
to a church that believe in it and to a pastor that believe in
Mhm.
it, because you don't just pay it out of
Mhm.
pain. You pay, there's a blessing that needs to comes alongside with it. So as you are paying it,
Mhm.
you need to ensure that you're also getting the blessing that comes alongside with it. So that's one way to
Mhm.
tap into kingdom blessing. Another way to me, which is also key, that which I feel there has been a lot of controversy around it eh,
Mhm.
nowadays, is the fact that tithing tithing. You see, there's been a lot of controversy, conversation here and there about, oh, do I need to tithe? Why am I paying? Do I need to pay my 1/10? Do I need to why do I need to some even go as far as saying, okay, can't I just take my 1/10 and just go and give it to the motherless baby whom at least I'm also blessing them. Why can't I take my
Mm.
the 1/10 of my salary and go and give it to those in need? At least I'm also blessing them. Fine, you are blessing them, but there's difference between giving and tithing. You must get that clear. If you want
Hmm.
to if
Word,
you want to
word, word,
bless,
word.
if you want to give, you are allowed to go and give to anybody that you want to give to. You are, and trust me, it
Mhm.
has its own blessing. It has its own blessing because
Mm.
every iota of giving has its own blessing. So if you want to give, you can just go ahead and give to that person that you want to give to. Trust me, you should have the blessing. But if you want to
Mm.
tithe and if you want the blessing of tithing, trust me, you need to do it
Mhm.
the way God has ordained it. You need to do it in the way God has talked about it. And you need to give it to
Mhm.
someone that has the understanding to it. No, not a motherless baby home. You see, it reminded me of a particular scenario when I finished my and actually I did my ND before going from my BSc program actually. But I remember then when I
Mm.
finished my ND, so because of all this passion for the fellowship bodies now, oh, I just got an internship in a good place. Oh, they are paying me quite good at that the point in time. So I was like, okay, so instead of giving church my old tithe, if I divide this tithe into two, if I pay half to the fellowship body, they will appreciate it more. I mean, so because church, we are many in church. So let me just give church half and just give half to the fellowship body. So
Fellowship.
for the fellowship body, so that they also appreciate it. So I was doing it that way. At some point, I was like, oh, let me just even be paying it to this fellowship body. They will appreciate it more than church. In church, we are many. But I was doing this out of passion for, oh, quite all right. I was actually blessing the fellowship body. But trust me, I wasn't doing it right because I wasn't receiving the blessing that comes with that tithing. My local church
Hmm.
is where your tithe needs to be paid. You take your tithe to your local church.
Hmm.
Your tithe goes to your local church, not a
Mm-hmm.
motherless home, not a fellowship
Mm-hmm.
that you belong to, not your father's church that you've left years ago. Maybe you are once a chorister there, or you are once the youth president, and say, oh, now that God has blessed you, you want to be paying your tithe in that church. No,
Bless you.
your tithe.
You should pay your tithe to where you are being watered.
Exactly? Your tithe you be in your local church where God is blessing
Mm-hmm.
you, where you go to every
Yeah.
Sunday to worship. So you're
True.
basically need to go to your local church. So that's another principle that people
Mm-hmm.
need to actually get right. And there have been a lot of controversy around
Mm-hmm.
oh tithing and here and there. See, like I always tell people, some things I don't argue.
Mm.
If you feel you don't pay tithe, I won't force you. But one thing is clear: nobody can tell me or talk me out of paying tithe. Neither can anybody talk me
Social media
out.
cannot talk you out of paying
I'm
tithes.
I'm telling you, no social media person can talk me out of paying tithes. Neither can any social media person talk
Mm-hmm.
me out of paying my
Mm-hmm.
first fruits every first
True.
month of the
Yes.
year.
True.
Every first month of the year, no social media person can talk me out of
And
dropping
also when
my
you have a
first
new
salary.
job too.
It's
Yeah. When you have
exactly.
a
So
new job.
once you have a new job, you pay your
Yeah.
first fruits. Once you have a promotion in your salary, you pay the
Salary.
increase of the salary. You pay as your first fruit. So there are
First
actually
food.
various way to go about first fruit. The first one is, oh, you got a new job. You
Mm-hmm.
for the new job, you pay the first salary from that job as first fruits. If if
Mm-hmm.
you are being, if God bless you and you are being promoted, if you are being
Mm.
promoted on that same job,
Mm.
you look at, okay, if you are earning, just for scenario's sake, if you are earning
Yes.
250,000 in your former role
Mm-hmm.
and you are being promoted, you are now earning like 400,000. Your first fruit is the differential of 450,000, while you pay
Mm.
tithes on the remaining 250,000.
Two
Which means
thousand.
for that month you are paying two things. You are paying the
Mm.
in differential, which is the 150,000, and you are paying tithe on the remainder, which is the
Mm.
250,000. So, but some
Mm.
some people that might be in my category that don't mind to lay down all can say, okay, this is this first fruit, this is my first salary
Mm.
in this new role, in this promotional role. I'm dropping down everything. It's all depend on your faith and your relationship with God.
With God.
So, so that's the way to go about it is pay the differential amount and drop the pay tithe on the remaining one. So that's basically it.
Mm.
It. Then the
Wow,
last part.
wow. Okay,
Then the last part. Okay,
okay.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I also want to point that we'll get to a part of this talk where you are going to come share with us some of the testimonies that you have, because some people don't believe until they hear that, okay, it has worked. They might just feel like, oh, you're just saying these things based on like maybe theoretically. So we also want you to
Mm,
come up with scenarios like your own situation where first fruit has actually elevated you and taken you from one point to another.
interesting. Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
has actually. I think I was waiting about this. That was like last week. There about I did some things recently that God helped me, and I was like, oh, so I could do this. So you see, I could say for free that first fruit has been of tremendous blessing to me. Like I can say that and over again. First fruit
Hmm.
has been of tremendous blessing to me. I remember where I was in 2020. even in
Hmm.
2021.
Even
But
in 2019.
even in 29 from 2019, 2020, 2021,
Yeah.
I knew where I
True.
was. Even it was so fun that even during those period, I was still trying to pay my first fruits. Whenever I pay my first fruit, I'm always tying it to something. I'm saying, God, this is what I'm trusting you for this. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember the one that actually break. In short, I don't know how to explain it because the the increase that I experienced between the last first fruit I paid in 2021 and what I paid in 2022, I can't just comprehend. It was just they are just like two parallel
Mm.
lines to me. It was the percentage
Wow.
increase
Oh God.
was something else, but it can just be God. And trust me, it has been getting much better and better and better. In
Better
short,
and better.
every come
Hallelujah.
December, come January, I'm always looking forward to pay my first. In short, I was January has not even ended. I've already dropped my first foot again for this month of January.
Thank
I've
God.
dropped in my first salary and say, God, here it is again. I've come to partner with you. Because to me, it's a
Thank God.
partnership. God does not
Yeah.
need my money. God does not,
True.
he did not need my money, but
Hmm.
I need some things from heaven.
Something from him. Yeah.
I need
True.
some things from heaven. I need some realm of wealth that I want to access. So if I want to access some realm of wealth, I also need to be faithful in my partnership
Hmm.
with
Hmm.
God. So that it won't be a case of, oh, when this guy was earning small amount, okay, he could do this. Now I have elevated him small. Now he has forgotten the principle that works. Because don't forget,
Can I
ye-
cut you like
yeah,
there?
yeah,
So I
sure,
have
sure.
this challenge with people when they say like it's easier to drop 45,000. It's easier to drop
Mm,
70,000,
mm,
100,000. Imagine you dropping 500,000. Some people find it very challenging to be able to say, "Oh, I want to give the whole of this 500,000 as first fruits." Like they find it difficult. So what do you say to people like that? And what do you say to people who don't believe in first fruit and who also discourage others from tapping into this benefit that comes from giving
okay,
first fruits?
okay, great. So I think to start with, I'll first say this that one thing that we should all get is that devil will never ask you to give.
First
I
fruit.
mean, devil will never ask you to give
Yes.
because he knows that prosperity answer to giving. Prosperity answer to giving because devil knows that prosperity answer to giving. He won't want you to give because he knows what comes afterward. So because devil will not want you
True.
to give, you must have that at the back of your mind that
Hmm.
because devil will not want you to give, anything that comes to giving is
Mm-hmm.
basically comes from God. Though
Hmm.
I'm not also ignorant of the fact that some pastors and coach can lure people to come and pay, to come and get some money from them. I'm not ignorant on that fact, but that's why we have to discern before you submit yourself to a pastor. You have to discern before you submit yourself to the leadership of any pastor and be
Mm-hmm.
sure that of the truth
Mm-hmm.
God called this man of
This
God. So
pastor is, yeah. Yeah.
once you are sure of that, trust me,
Sure.
any instruction that comes from the man of God, please,
Mm-hmm.
is for your life. Instruction is for life. So that's on that
Mm-hmm.
note. Then on the second note of all those that find it very easy to drop 40,000 as first fruit, 100,000, then women is now getting above 300,000, 400,000, 500,000. I think, can I just drop this
Mama
500,000,
Mushi,
drop this 300,000? Hey, God, wait, let's do this analysis again. Are you sure you really want me to pay these first fruits? Or are you sure this money is not too much, God? God, let's bargain. No, see,
God take her.
not as in there's no thinking required. Trust me, when it comes to first fruits, there is no thinking required. See, the way I normally see first fruit is that from February to December, anything that I need to sustain myself January and February, I ensure I have it because I have
That's
just
true.
zero.
Like you are intentional
I have
about.
exactly. You just need to be intentional about it because I have zero in my mind that my first salary in for the year is my first fruit. Nothing can touch it. Nothing can make it. Nothing can tamper with it. So from February to December of the year, I'm always being intentional about what are my expenses, how I need to plan myself to ensure that come January, I won't be saying, God, you understand that I have these expenses.
I
Oh God,
think
I
I
need to
think
pay
I
rent.
think this
So
one you said is a very strong one, because that's the devil will just be waiting for some people, so that the devil will want to put all your expenses in front of you. So it's better you are intentional about, say, okay, there's first
mm,
fruit in January, so let me start saving as much
mm,
as I am going to be able to have to sustain myself, so that you will not get to January and then when the devil pour all the expenses in front of you, you will not say you're not paying first fruits. Thank you for that point.
exactly.
So please,
You're
audience,
welcome.
take notes.
So that's when you will say,
Yeah,
"Oh, I have
continue.
school fees to pay, I have rent to pay,
House
I need
rent,
to
always
house rent, house rent. How do I go about
yeah,
children are
bills.
resuming?
Yeah,
No, how do I go about it? So
yes,
all those
yes,
things,
yes, yes.
like what
True.
my I don't know whether it's my great dad or someone that normally say that the pregnancy of 9 months is not a stranger to the body
Yes, you know
because
that you're pregnant. I know you're going
you,
to give
from the
birth,
day one you already know that you are pregnant, and you know that
and the
someday
nine
after
months is
nine
running.
months you will surely
You will
deliver.
deliver.
So you can now get to
Sure.
that 9 months and now be wanting to that how will I go about this? You from day one you knew that you are pregnant, so you should. It's not the ninth month that you start planning some stuff for the baby. From the day one that you are aware that you are pregnant, you need to start planning for the baby before the
Hmm.
ninth month. Not that on the ninth month you now start say, because 9 month pregnancy is not a stranger to the body. Been carrying this thing for
Hmm.
months. So you need to be debate about. So that's the same way I see pregnancy. I see first fruit. I mean, you can't say you want to pay first fruit in January, and you have a whole 10 to 11 months to plan for it. If you really want to do it, not that general will not come and say, God, you see my heart, oh, and I really want to do this thing, no, but because of this thing, because of fine, we understand that there are some emergency situation that could happen.
Consequences, yes.
That that we understand that there can be
And do you
situation
know
that
what,
you didn't plan
Do
for.
you know one thing again?
Okay.
Do you know one thing again? Is that, sorry, I have to cut you in between, but
No,
do
no
you know
problem, it's
that
fine.
if you really want God to take you from that point of always thinking of how to sustain yourself from that, do you know that there was a time, when you used to feel that, okay, this money, maybe now, let's assume when you were earning like 100K now, you would already feel that, it might be difficult for you to sustain yourself the next month if you give all
Mm,
of this
mm,
100K to
mm,
pursue this month. But imagine now when God now elevates you to maybe earning like a 350 or a 400 now. And on a normal day, maybe you will not even finish spending your 400,000 in a month, because obviously you save, you do other things and all. So you have gotten to that point where even the money you earn monthly now is more than enough for you. Sure, you understand, to
mm,
run with
mm,
for that month. So at the end of the
mm,
day, you realize that even if you are going to pay your first fruit now, you still have backup, like in terms of savings and some
mm,
other things that
mm,
can even sustain you for just that 1 month that you're going to use to pay that first fruit. So me, I'm going to say to people now that, why don't you do this thing and let God take you to that point where you will not always need to rely on that month's salary to sustain
mm,
yourself. Do you get what I'm saying?
mm, mm.
Because you
Sure, sure,
have
I get
more
you.
than enough. But if you don't pray to God, to you don't do all of these things that can also push you ahead, so that if you don't collect salary for 1 month, you it will not look like you're not going to be able to do every other thing you would normally do, because you have
Mm,
backing. Do you understand?
mm,
So like, people
mm,
should take advantage of first fruit and let it push them to that level where, with or without your salary, you can even run a month like conveniently with all that you have saved from previous month's salary, so you don't continue to remain in that circle of 45,000 naira, 100,000 naira a month. I'm just putting it out there that also do this, like, make up your mind to give this first fruit to be able to take you from that point of managing to having in abundance,
yeah,
right?
valid.
Do
Valid.
you get my
Yeah,
analogy?
sure. I get you. Yeah, so I think another thing I will also try to point out is that, so for those that might just be hearing about this for the first time, or you are just you are still thinking about it, trust me. Like I remember then I think my pastor also said it once that the first time they were going to do first fruits, then he was married, that he and his wife have to agree and say, okay,
Mhm.
yes, yes, do let's pay our own salary, use your own salary for this month.
Yeah.
Then the next
Then
month,
next month,
we
yes.
you will pay
True,
your own.
true,
So
true.
it means you can also try to say, okay,
Walk
okay, God,
around it.
I'm just hearing about this. I'm just still going into it. You can divide it into two and say, okay, I'll pay half this month and pay half the following month, which is okay.
Mm-hmm.
To
Mm-hmm.
me, I think
It's fine.
it's putting it within the space of 2 months
With
is still fair for someone that is
okay,
just hearing about it and just
hearing
starting about
about
it.
it.
But trust
Yes,
me,
I've not
it,
planned.
if trust me, if you are doing it, if you are not splitting it because out of just want to split it, but if you are splitting it from a genuine place of heart, trust me, that might be the last. In short, that will be the last time that you have to split it. Come the following year, you won't even have to
Hmm.
bother to stress
I'm
yourself
experiencing
because
sorrow.
God would have definitely elevated you.
With the
Trust me, God would have
true,
definitely
true.
elevated you. That come next year, you won't even have to bother to think of splitting it. Trust me.
Hmm. Okay, so Shino, I want us to move to another point. I know we have dwelt on first fruit, and I know like 25 minutes of speaking about first fruit. If you don't believe in first fruit, then I don't know what else you want to believe in. So, can we just take on that point? Because I still have set of questions I would like to ask
Okay.
you before,
Okay.
and I
Please
know
go
you
ahead.
are a very busy person, so I don't want to, like, let's go to other points, then
Okay.
I'll now come back to the questions. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think I've mentioned, I've talked about first fruit. I've talked about,
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about tithing, and I've also talk briefly about offering. You see, these are basically
Mm,
spiritual way. These are spiritual
yeah.
way to get to wealth. Trust
Well,
me, these are spiritual way to get wealth. If we're talking about kingdom wealth, nothing
yes.
outside of this you can. Then the last one to me, which I also see as very key, is seed. Seed.
Okay.
You see, seed. You see, I have recently I've learned and I'm seeing the importance of seed, sowing a seed. You see, and when people talk about sowing a seed, and
Hmm.
you don't just sow seed anyhow, you sow seed the fertile land. You sow seed intentionally, deliberately. You are sowing seed and you are sowing it with a purpose in mind. So you see, between 2021 ending and till now, I've learned some things about seed that I was just
Hmm.
wondering, okay, okay, this and that each dimension that I actually need to
Dimension.
explore when it comes to kingdom words. You
Hmm.
see, if you're talking about seed, you just need to see the way I see seed is that okay, if I see something working in your life, if I see something
Hmm.
particular thing working in your life, I will sow a seed upon your life just because I want to tap into
Just
the
to
grace
get
of
true.
that thing that is working for in your life. There are some man of God
Hmm.
that I've seen some stuff working in
Hmm.
their life, and I told
Hmm.
myself I need to sow a seed into this man of God because of this particular grace. I've done some.
Hmm.
I'm in short, there's something that I just did last year because I was looking for a particular thing, and I got to know about a man of God that has that grace.
Hmm.
So if we are talking about seed,
Hmm.
seed is you just need to be number one is that when it comes to seed, you need to be sure of why are you sowing the seed
True.
and who are you sowing the seed for.
True.
Also,
Hmm. Yeah.
you need to double sure. So
Hmm.
there is a so seed is not just something that you do conscious out of ignorance. Is
Hmm.
something that comes with intentionality because
Hmm.
you are doing it and you know why you are doing it.
Hmm.
It's just like asking the ladies out. You know why you're asking the ladies out.
Yeah. Hmm.
You know what you
Mm-hmm.
want as the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So the same thing applies
Oh,
to seed.
that's
If we are talking about
hmm.
seed, you know the outcome. You know what you are trusting God for. You
Mm-hmm.
know what you are
Mm-hmm.
looking for that prompted you to say no.
Mm-hmm.
I won't just pray and fast alone on this issue. Let me take it a step further to also sow a seed
Yes, we see it.
on top this issue. So that's another way to put some things down from heaven.
Mm,
Then
mm,
then another way for me is sacrificial giving. So
mm,
sacrificial giving is basically different from offering and it's different from giving. You can just give.
mm,
You can have 10 million naira in your account and you give someone
mm,
1,000
mm,
or 10,000.
mm.
It doesn't have any
Mm.
effect on you. But have you given such a person something? Yes, you have. You've
Yeah,
given,
yes.
but it doesn't really pull a string from your body. But
Mm.
if you have 10 million naira in your account and you look into your account and you and you take like 9 million naira, say, "Beam,
Out.
I'm dropping this." You
Mm,
will surely feel it. You will feel the effect of dropping 9 million naira out of
mm,
10 million
mm,
naira from your account. I think I
mhm,
had
mhm,
I had a similar experience that was in February there about or October, and I felt it that I dropped something from my account because it was basically like, oh, so I
mm,
felt it that no, I dropped something from my account.
mm, mm,
So
mm,
sacrificial givings, you would in short, th- and you see, you see, I could kind of liken this
Look,
sacrificial giving to the story of Cain and Abel.
Abel.
One, you could see that there was a thought process that goes into one's giving than the other.
Mm,
One thought about it and say, okay, this is the finest, this is the fattest. And one
mm,
just say, okay, I have so many things now. Let me just pick one and go and give. And you could see the results.
mm.
One's sacrifice was accepted, while the other
Well,
was
the other
just
was rejected.
because there was a thought process behind the giving. There was a sacrifice that
Mm,
comes into it. Because just like you
mm.
taking like the finest of your clothes and say you want to go and give it out to someone,
Yeah.
you will
Or
feel it
your
that
car.
or your car, for instance, say you're taking your car, you say you don't want to give it out to someone. People will
Yes.
ask you,
Mm.
what's wrong with you? Are you fine?
Are you okay? Are you
Like, are you
fine?
okay? So stuff like that. So there's basically like there's a whipping side of it
Mm,
when it comes to sacrificial giving because it doesn't just
mm,
come easy. In short, people drop
mm.
people drop some offering and they are dropping it with tears, not because they have so much water in their eyes, but they are thinking that this because this is like God, I'm dropping like all, like literally all,
Everything. Mm,
and
mm.
some things will
Wow.
provoke heavens. Just like the case of Solomon, how will you
Yeah.
explain somebody killed that number of rams? That kind of sacrifice are not normal. They
Mm.
are not normal sacrifice.
Wow. So, hmm. Okay. Thank you so much, and I really, really appreciate it. It's been interesting thus far. So I want to reiterate what you said that sacrificial giving, seed sowing, fresh fruit, tithing are major areas you want to really work on in 2023. If you want the kind of wealth that will take you from the poverty level to the life of abundance, because in 2023, I tell you, you need to have like you want to leave that zone where you are not spending based on your salary. Like when I mean based on salary now, it's not like maybe I should not say salary, but you have more than enough. Let me just put that way. You have in abundance. This your current paycheck is not the one that is even determining what you can afford, like or what the resources, the blessings that flows into your life. So for me, I also want to ask, okay, what do you think about following instruction? Because I've seen cases where certain times the Holy Spirit deposit ideas. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, sure, I can hear you.
All right. The Holy Spirit deposit an idea into your heart and say, "Oh, start this project, do this thing, start this idea, start up this stuff," and people just do it. And maybe other people have been doing those things before, and they are not even successful at it. And you just see that you're just doing something very minute, something very small, and then God just like breathes upon it, and bah, you just become like very wealthy because you also followed instruction that was given to you by God. So Shino, what do you want to say about obeying instruction, especially when God drops an idea into your heart, or when God asks you to start something? It might just look very silly, but somehow it's God and you have to follow. What do you say to that, Shino?
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, so I think before I comment, I think I would just like to emphasize that trust me, instruction is life. Then I would like to buttress it by
Mm,
just quoting two scriptures for us. Number one is Proverbs 4, verse 13. That talks about hold on to
mm,
instruction and do not let it go. Like guide it with all your
mm,
heart, for it is your life.
mm,
Like hold on to instruction, do not let go. Guide it well, for it is your life.
mm.
Trust me, instruction is life. You see, Isaiah 1
Mm,
Isaiah chapter 1 verse 19 was also talking about if you are willing and obedient. If you are willing and it's talking about obeying, surrendering,
mm,
following a particular pattern,
everything.
guidance, instructions. You see,
Mm,
instruction is life. Trust me, there's no
yeah.
more
Mm,
like it just like there's this saying that normally say that in this secular world that they say if you want to go far or something that you rest on the shoulder of those that have gone ahead of you or something like that. You are not just resting on their shoulder for resting sake. You are resting because they will be giving you instructions, they'll be giving you guidance, and you are following it. If you are just resting on their
so
shoulder alone,
you're resting on them.
because
Continue, continue.
because if you are just resting on them alone and you're not following what they are
Mm,
saying, trust me, you will just say that
mm,
you will remain at a particular spot. So it's not just
God.
in following, it's about
Mm,
also doing
mm.
what they are saying. It's about following their guidance. You
What?
see, I have a I have a career
Mm,
mentor. Uh, I basically have
mm.
mentor for every area of my life. Not
Different
because
areas.
not because I want to be having mentors here and there, because I want to follow instruction. I want to be guided.
That's line.
So instruction, not to talk us of if God is now giving you instruction. So if we could take
Mm,
instructions and guidance from the human being that serious, not to talk of if God is now
mm,
giving you instructions. God is telling you go and do it. Trust me, majority of
mm,
God instruction does not used to
mm,
make sense at the beginning. It doesn't make human sense.
mm, mm,
It doesn't make
mm,
human sense. It won't make sense to
mm.
you. In short, you
True,
will look at the
true.
situations around you. What you are hearing will not make sense to you most time. It won't make sense. You won't be able to
Mm,
explain that.
mm,
God, I'm in Yaba, and you are telling me that I should be going to no. It's just like someone in Maryland and
mm,
you want to go to Yaba. I didn't you just need to enter Yaba and be going. And God is telling you, go back to Ojota, go and enter bus. Then go and pass Toto Milan Bridge before you say, God,
hey,
you are
that's how
stressing
God
me.
can be. Oh, I swear.
You
Like,
are stressing me. It doesn't
why?
why should I
Abba.
have to go
Ooh,
through all this? This is
doesn't
Yaba
add up.
here. It doesn't add up. Thank
True.
you. Like it doesn't jive. Why should I leave? This is
Mm,
just Yaba, just one bus. I'll now first turn back to
true.
Ojota. Pick no now.
Mm-hmm.
So most time God instructions comes that way. It doesn't add up to us. It doesn't make
Mm,
sense to us. But trust me,
hmm,
if you can follow it, you'll be glad that you did.
mm-hmm. Do
So
you know, I would
instruction
thank
once
you so
again
much for
is
that.
life.
Yeah, key. And do you know, I want to just give my own personal example. So normally when I pray, like, God, I want this kingdom wealth. What am I going to get this kingdom wealth? And the Holy Spirit gives me an idea. And then I come with this excuse, God, I can't do this thing. I work, my work is stressful, blah, blah, blah. Story, 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 story. Guess what? January this year, the idea God has been giving me that I've been giving 1 million and one excuse not to do. Somebody started it. When the person that started it, I was not surprised that this person pulled a lot of crowd. People followed the person. I was not like, and I had this idea for like almost 1 year. I didn't do it. And I was not like, why? Now this person has already started this idea. I can't now come and say I want to do it. It will look as if I'm the one copying the person. And the Holy Spirit just said that God does not wait for somebody. If He has given you an idea and you choose to give different excuse, it means that you are not ready to get the kind of wealth that you want, because inside of that assignment is the wealth that God has like prepared for you. So if you don't want, and truly, if I had started that thing that God deposited in my heart, I feel like I would have really gone far from where I am now. But excuses, and that's what I want to say. Like, sometimes when you have an idea, know those that you are sharing your ideas with, because some people, it's not as if they want to be bad in totality. See, I say this, when people make mistake in life, there are a lot of factors that that guide you that mistake. It's not like they want to just discourage you or something. It might just be that let me use Yoruba, or if that's to the extent of information that they have, that's why they are just advising you based on that level. When God gives you an idea, ask for, God, how do I like bring this idea? How do I bet this idea? So that you will know those that you will discuss with, those that will help you. Then ask him to send resources of people or whatever that you need to be able, and strength to be able to bring that idea to pass. Because you might just be a step away from the wealth that God has created for you, just because you have not made that phone call, or you have not maybe you don't just want to take that bold step. Or me coming to do this show is beyond just me calling people to interview, because I've had this idea for a very, very long time, and I always give the excuse of I don't have the time, I don't have the time. And thank you, for accepting to do this, because I was almost going to postpone and not even just say I want to do it again. But you know, like I said, inside of the ideas, the instruction that God gives you is opportunities that can elevate you beyond your imagination. So if you don't take advantage of these ideas or instruction, you might just remain on one level forever, and somebody else can even come take up the initiative and move with it. So please and please, as God gives us instruction, let's try to tell people that can help us
Mhm.
achieve those instruction. So all right, Shino, do you have any final notes for us? Because I know you're a very
Okay.
busy person and you want to go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think I'll just say that on the final note that whatever thing that we need to do, whatever thing that we need to do, when it you can do any other thing. There are various ways to make money. There, there are various ways. I don't want to be going into godly or ungodly, illegal way. But once it's if it is this kingdom wealth that you desire and you long
Mm-hmm.
for, trust me,
Mm-hmm.
first fruits,
Yeah.
tithing, seed sowing,
Mm-hmm.
sacrificial giving, and your
Mm-hmm.
offering,
Mm-hmm.
you can
Mm-hmm.
escape all those things, and you can't just
Mm.
do away with them, and you do them from the place
Yes.
of understanding. If you need to get material
Mm-hmm.
to equip you to give you the right knowledge so that you do it well, please get material. If you need to get information more about it so that you are not doing it out of ignorance, so that you're doing it with the right understanding, get material. But as it
Mm-hmm.
pertains to kingdom wealth, you can't do away with all this, and I pray God will give
All
us
of those things.
understanding.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
also like to add that competence too would also help. Like, let's honor our skills in whatever. If you're a finance person, if you're a business person, just do more for yourself. Maybe if you need to take up a training, whatever it is that you can do to be better at what you do, create a strategy that works for you. The year is still fresh. You can achieve a lot within 12 months. And I pray that God will give us wisdom and grace to do more. Thank you so much, for accepting to do this with me. I really
You're welcome.
appreciate you. God
You're
bless
welcome.
you. more oil on
Amen.
your head, more grace.
Amen.
And I
Amen.
hope to bring you some other time for something maybe in finance,
No problem.
around finance, like,
No problem.
yeah,
It's fine.
something like that. Thank you. And thank you, my
Yeah, you're
viewers, for
welcome.
staying this long. God bless you till I come your way again. Stay blessed.
Yeah, bye.